Hello, welcome Brett. As you may or may not know, Levi and I actually hired someone last year to teach us about women. He taught us in a class about women.
Okay.
Unfortunately, especially for me, the class didn't go so well. So we decided to upgrade. Before we had this guy who has a girlfriend, but clearly that wasn't good enough. So you sir have a fiance.
I do.
You are getting married very soon. So we thought that you'd be the perfect upgrade and the perfect person to teach us about women, and not for a grade, so that we can go out, be more comfortable and talk with some women.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to help you guys.
All right. Should we start the questioning?
We've been doing a lot of study at home, so we're trying to bump up from the beginner to the intermediate level, So
Okay.
if you can just dish out some wisdom on us. We're just going to give you a couple softballs, and we're all ears. We just want to learn,
Okay, yeah. I am a well-known expert of women, so I'm happy to help in this regard.
Really appreciate that. First, tell us what it's like having a fiance, and while you're at it, tell us the journey from meeting Wanjala to moving into more of a romantic relationship, and now being engaged.
Okay, so if you guys are at a beginner to intermediate level, this story may not resonate, and it's just going to be kind of difficult to understand because I was already at a very advanced level. Because you see, we met in the North Cafeteria of Century High School. She asked me to come sit at her table. Yes, there were lots of circumstances surrounding that, but she asked me to come sit at her table. So I came, sat at her table. Thought I'd be polite in that way. You always want to be polite, be a gentleman. Yes, good. Take notes. And then after a while, we talked. I talked with her, with the people at her table, and slowly but surely, I could tell, that she was developing feelings for me. And this was very exciting, but expected, of course. And right before winter break, she asked me for my phone number. So again, this is advanced level. You're not gonna expect that immediately, but we'll try and get you closer to that destination. So after she asked for my phone number, we started texting over winter break, and then again, I was going to ask her on a date in person. You want to do things in person, important things like this, again, that's being a gentleman. But she just couldn't resist, asked me on a date before winter break was over, so before I got to see her and do it myself. So, I mean, I couldn't exactly turn that down. So we went on a date, and after the first date, she was just hooked. She couldn't get enough of me, and it just kind of continued from there. She was thinking about and speaking of marriage in about 3 to 4 months, somewhere in that range. So,
Wow.
So it's just again, advanced level. This is like best case scenario, what we're hoping to get you to one day, but you don't get there all at once. So I'll try and give you some of the things. But you asked me how it was having a fiance. It is fantastic. It is lovely. Yeah, it's great. You're looking forward to the wedding. You get to do all this exciting planning, and by that I mean she gets to do all the exciting planning, and it's wonderful. The only unfortunate thing is sometimes they'll remind you when you try and do something that you're not married yet, so you don't quite have the authority to tell them what to do. But, that only happens every once in a while. So that's really the only downside.
How long ago did you meet?
We met, Oh wow! It yesterday was 39 months from when we started officially dating, and so that would be about 42 months. So
So 3.5
3.5
years.
years. Yeah.
So basically, I've got to wait 3.5 years to get to that level, is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, this would be assuming that you were at the advanced level and the relationship began tomorrow. So it may be some time, but again, you've got to be patient. Patience is a big thing, both for yourself, but also women find it very attractive. So if you're patient in your approach, that's actually going to hasten how quickly it happens. So it's kind of counterintuitive in that way.
Yeah, it's
I like that.
It's like fishing. It's actually really impressive because you got her so turned around that she thought she was taking the initiative when actually you had her hooked from day one and just got her so turned around. That the nonchalance I find to be very impressive and something I strive for.
Well, thank you, Levi. That was incredibly insightful. That's a fantastic analogy. Fishing is just a wonderful analogy for dating and this type of relationship. You want to entice them and bring them in, but all the while have them thinking that they're getting something good and something desirable.
Yeah, and it's like I don't want to settle right now for the small fry, right? I want to sit and be patient for the big catch that's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you work right now and you're impatient and you catch that small fry, well great, but that's not what you're looking for. And that whole while that you're doing that process and reeling it in and letting it go, that only means less time that you're out there working for the big kahuna, as you said. Exactly.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot of theory, right? And there's a lot of it's like chess. There's a lot of well-developed theory, and you can memorize openings as much as you want. But once you're into the middle game, you gotta have your principles locked in.
Of course.
Which is what we've been talking about is the theory. So I wanna actually go back and talk about openings really quick, because I can go up to a girl, e4, e5, d4 takes on e4, and openings left and right.
Of course.
So tell us about some of your go-to openings. What are some of your audible topics of conversation when going to converse with women?
See, that's a good question. Honestly, for me, it's a little difficult to answer. Like I said, I'm at just such an advanced level that the women come to me and they start conversing with me already. So it's like I've graduated beyond that.
Yeah.
But I can do my best to think back and apply some of what I know. Women love to talk about all sorts of different things. And really, like you said, Levi, when you're in that middle game or in that opening, a lot depends also on what the other player is doing. So what you have to pay attention to is, what is she already starting to talk about? What is she already kind of hinting at? What are some of her interests? What gets her excited? Now, there are some generic things that work for many, but again, it depends on the individual. And so you've really got to cater it to that and just pay attention to what your opponent's doing and what they're trying to accomplish, and then you'll be able to see where to go from there.
What do you say when she's talking about something that you don't know anything about? If she comes up to me and asks me if I'm Team Edward or Team Jacob, what the heck am I supposed to respond to that, Brett?
The safe answer to that specific question,
Yep.
always Team Edward.
Edward.
Team Edward. Team Edward, for sure. Now, what will, however, you can use what even may seem like a disadvantage like that, like you not knowing, as an advantage. For example, you can be like, oh my goodness, I've never seen those movies. Would you like to watch them together? Guaranteed success. Guaranteed success.
Oh my goodness.
A very similar thing happened in my own relationship. We got to then watch the movies together, and it was a great way to spend time together and get to know. So again, you gotta always be just like looking out for those opportunities. See those openings and take them when you have them.
He's just levels above
Wow,
us.
that's a crazy gambit. They blundered a queen.
Yeah, never would have thought about that. That was, yeah.
Are there any other questions we want to ask you? I think we hit most of the bases.
What are your what do you recommend for gifts? You know, like buying. I've heard a rumor that girls are pretty expensive. So I'm curious. Like, are those rumors true? Like, you know, what would you say to that?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question, Kimo. It is unfortunately true. Women are incredibly expensive. I would certainly recommend having a job or a significant savings account before getting into a relationship, because you are definitely going to feel the pressure. You're going to feel that pressure to give her gifts, and you want to. You know, it's a good thing. But you've got to keep reeling her in with that. So you need a steady supply of, if we're going back to the fishing analogy, you need a steady supply of bait. You know, you can't just have one little thing. You're going to need multiple attempts to keep bringing them in. As for go-to gifts, stuffed animals usually work. Stuffed animals are good. Chocolate is often very good. But again, like I was saying with the other things, you got to find out what they like. Be asking them these questions. Find out, their taste in clothes, in candy, stuff like that, and they'll love it. Yeah.
So that brings up the question, Brett. On balance, off the record, are women plus EV?
Are women plus EV? See, that's a very broad statement, and again, as I just keep going back to, this is one of the central principles. You've got to play your opponent. You know, you can't just play a memorized script, because a memorized script isn't going to work on everyone, because there are so many different combinations, openings, middle games, things like that. So on balance, I would lean yes, but again, it's very dependent on the woman, because there are some who are fantastic, who will fill you up, will be worth everything you have, will be worth sacrificing your life for. And there will be some who will drag you down and tear you apart and leave you broken. So you have to be very, very careful with that.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, I think that's it.
I learned so much today. This is,
Yeah.
my mind is like, thank goodness you took notes, because
I
that's
know.
the thing. I need to frame that on my wall, honestly.
Well worth the price of admission.
Yeah,
Thanks for
yeah.
coming out.
Of
Thank you,
course,
Dr. Holloway.
anytime. You know, if you need me again, it's a process, like I've said. You know, for me, even at the advanced level, 3+ years, right? So it takes a while. Again, patience, important. So yeah, if we want to summarize, you got to be patient. You have to tailor almost everything you do to the specific woman that you are talking to or trying to impress or trying to get in a relationship with. That is the most important principle of all.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming out, Brett.
Of course.
So Levi and I are here at the quad, and there are no women. We were gonna hopefully test our new skills that we learned from Brett and talk to some women, but there just aren't any. So as Denny Chimes rings,
Maybe we should walk this way.
yeah. I guess we can keep scouting for women, but I don't know if we're gonna have any luck.
Yeah.
Oh, do you hear that music?
Oh yeah, right over here, Kimo.
Oh, seems to be a good-looking man over here playing guitar. You wouldn't happen to give lessons, would you?
Yes, I actually do give lessons.